Hello, everyone. I'm here at E3 2019. Please introduce yourself for the folks at home. Who are you? What do you do at CD Projekt Red?
My name is Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz, and I'm a quests director on Cyberpunk 2077.
How's E3 so far? What's the reception been like?
The reception is amazing, actually. We expected people to be excited about Keanu, but, we didn't expect that much buzz about it.
I think the breathtaking comment there really kind of was the cherry on top, really made it meme-worthy. Now, Keanu, tell us a bit about that story. How long ago did you guys decide we need Keanu for Johnny Silverhand, and how did you convince him?
So around a year ago, as far as I'm aware, we contacted him after thinking of, who is Johnny Silverhand, so the character that Keanu is playing. And Johnny, basically is a rebel.
Yeah.
He's a character of principle, like he stands for an idea. In this specific case, the idea is opposed to the big corporations that are ruling the Night City and that build this oppressive system that grinds people up and and treats them badly.
Right.
And Keanu has a long history of playing characters who are just like this, who stand for an idea and fight for it.
Yes.
So for us, it was a perfect pick. In terms of how we convinced him, I guess that's the secret of our biz devs. I have no idea.
Okay.
I was not
You weren't
included.
involved in that?
No, but
Okay.
we were all at the studio really impressed that they managed to get this deal done.
And how long ago did you guys know that Keanu was going to be on board?
Well, at first it wasn't a public knowledge in the studio, but as the time went on, it was decided to share it with everyone, and everyone was super excited about this.
Of course.
And and we even got this video message from Keanu for the entire studio, and everyone was like super hyped when we saw it. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, how much does Keanu participate in this game? How much dialogue does he have? Is he going to interact with you a lot, or is he just a cameo?
Oh, definitely not a cameo.
Okay.
Like, Johnny is one of the main characters in the game. You could even say he's like a second protagonist almost.
Yeah, I would say so.
So you'll interact with him throughout the majority of the game, and a lot of the plot revolves around him. He has a complicated relationship with V, so the main character, and you can form this relationship in different ways based on how you play throughout the game, which of course I don't want to spoil at this point. But I would say his role is pretty significant, and he has a lot of lines, which is great because Keanu is quite experienced. Exactly.
Now, towards the end of the demo, we saw a bit of a teaser in regards to a little-known character known as Alt Cunningham, who those who play the 2020 tabletop will know was Silverhand's girlfriend and a legendary hacker.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot of interplay there we can expect?
There might be.
Okay, yeah, of course, you have to be a little vague about that.
Exactly.
Now, what about other iconic characters like Morgan, Blackhand, and...
Well, I don't want to spoil too much at this point. However, if you know the original setting, you might expect some of the characters that were really big in the stories to make an appearance.
Okay. Now, in the previous demo, during the character customization, there was an option for childhood hero. You could select Silverhand, Blackhand, as well as Arasaka. Can you talk a bit about that, what that entails, what that does?
Well, to be honest, at this point, we are still working on the character creation. As you could have seen, we have a work-in-progress version of it. This both applies to what facial features you can use and the choices like the one you mentioned. The ones we have set in stone for now are the life paths. So, like the origin of your hero, which means, like, for example, you're a street kid that was, living on the streets and that knows well the dealings of the gangs and can use it to their advantage. A nomad, so someone who travels between the interstates, and they have different kind of experiences.
Corporate as well?
Exactly, like someone who climbed the corporate ladder and knows how they work and knows how they think. And this impacts a lot of dialogues throughout the game.
Right. Certain dialogues you could only select if you're a corporate or a nomad.
Exactly.
Now, in the tabletop, these are the roles, some of the roles you can play. Now they have been implemented into a life path format. Is that safe to say, or are we going to see corporate manifest and some of the abilities you can use?
It's more like the origin of the character, which in the end always ends up as a mercenary. This is who V is, she or he, is a mercenary who works for different factions through the fixers, of course, and so on. However, there are many different ways to customize your character through character development. So this time around, we paid a lot of attention to adding this level of non-linearities in terms of gameplay. So in terms of how do you play through the missions and, what skills do you use and so on, very much, more so than we did on The Witcher, for example. So for example, you can go into heavy guns and you can shoot your way through, or you can specialize more in hacking or, install a lot of cyberware that will help you in stealth and so on. So we've put a lot of attention and a lot of, focus on this kind of non-linearities and giving the player freedom of playing the game as they would like it to be played.
Yeah, you showed in the demo, essentially you went back and forth between two different Vs on the fly and showed just a completely different way of tackling it on both sides, which was...
This was one of the big goals for this specific demo. We wanted to show how the game plays in different ways in these specific situations. Of course, in the final game, you won't be switching on the fly like this.
Of course.
We
this
did
is
it
more for demo purposes.
Exactly. But, I think it illustrates well how many paths and how many possibilities do you have on these levels.
Yeah. It looks very intriguing. Now, speaking of he or she, does gender affect some of the paths you can take in the narrative? How much of an influence does that have on the story?
Well, we do not cut off any kind of content based on gender or any character creation choices you make. However, you might expect different dialogue differences or quest differences based on the choices you made. So I feel it adds a lot to the replayability of the game. However, it doesn't cut off any content for the completionists.
Okay, so on your first playthrough, you could see...
Yeah, most of the content, but of course, to role play as these different characters, you need to play multiple times.
Is there a New Game Plus?
This is something we're still thinking on.
Yeah, New Game Plus, I think, has become a popular feature that I think a lot of people would love. Now let's talk a bit about net running. So we saw sort of instantaneous net running with the wire that you can use to hack NPCs, or you go into terminals to hack those. And then there was a deeper level of net running we saw towards the end where you literally go into the cyberspace. Can you tell us a bit about the cyberspace aspect and how deeply we're going to explore that?
So for this, I'm going to give you a little bit of context of why did we do things like this. So in the general timeline, at one point between 2020 and 2077, there was this catastrophic event where one of the legendary netrunners have released a lot of malware and rogue AIs into the web, which basically created chaos all around the world, right? And Netwatch was tasked with solving this problem basically. And the idea was that they have created this thing called the Black Wall, which separated the original cyberspace, so the one you might know from 2020, from the rest of the world. And most of people in the world right now, in 2077, they use local networks. So this is why in the mall, for example, in the demo, you had to find an access point to connect to that local network, so you could hack these different devices or people that are connected to it. And the reason they did this, of course, is to prevent this from happening again. However, the original cyberspace still exists behind the Black Wall. And the bravest and the most skilled netrunners are still trying to get through, to reach it, to get to the other side and, to see what's there. However, none of them ever returned. So it's this mysterious place, I like to think about it as this Lovecraftian kind of thing, this different dimension where the rogue AIs do their own thing.
Cyberpunk Lovecraftian, interesting.
Exactly, and they develop themselves unchecked, basically, because the Netwatch doesn't actually control what happens there. So it's kind of a mystery throughout the world.
Will we be going beyond and seeing what's on the other side?
Well, you'll have to play to learn that.
Now, a big part of the cyberpunk genre is body modifications, and a lot of people are wondering after you create your character. We saw in like the previous trailer, one lady, like her entire jaw was off, and she was like looking at herself and seeing what would fit. Will we as players be able to replace different body parts as well and customize to that extent?
Yeah, definitely. Like there are multiple slots you can replace with cyberware. So, for example, your arms, your legs, your chest, your nervous system, and so on. The extent to which you can do those changes is pretty significant, I would say. And once you install these things, you can also upgrade them. So, for example, you can replace your legs with a cyberware that gives you a double jump, which gives you an access to different places you couldn't reach otherwise.
Right.
But also you can upgrade it later with silent running, for example, which helps you with stealth.
I see. Now, you can also customize aesthetics, so different jackets and style yourself, and that's a big part of the tabletop, and that affects your disposition, or the character's dispositions towards you. Is that the same in 2077?
In 2077, we actually focus more on gameplay stats kind of approach. In terms of the dialogue, it doesn't actually have impact on how the dialogues play out. There are certain situations in the game that are narratively driven where we when we enforce like specific clothing that you need to put on to progress through the scenarios. But in general, the mechanics are purely RPG stat-based.
For players to feel badass
exactly.
themselves. I gotcha. And can you customize your vehicles that you acquire?
Well, as far as I know, right now we have a number of vehicles you can obtain and store in your garage, and you can summon them whenever you like to use a specific vehicle, be it car or a bike. In terms of customization, this is something we are still discussing.
Okay.
So
Sure. Now, can you steal any car in the street, or are there specific cars that...
you can steal cars.
Oh, any car, motorcycle, whatever's on the
that's
ground?
the idea.
But Aerodynes are a different story, right? From previous year, I believe you guys said you're taking it's not going to be you just get on something and you fly around.
Oh, you mean the AVs?
Yeah,
the AVs... The AVs are present in the city, of course. There is a number of them, and sometimes you do travel by them. However, you never actually pilot them.
Okay. Gotcha. As for weapons, can you customize those with attachments or cosmetics?
Yes, definitely. We have a system of customization for the weapons, which allows you to, for example, attach a scope to the weapon, or how do you call it, a silencer.
Oh, yeah.
Like magazine extensions and so on.
Awesome.
It's different amount of slots for different weapons. You can find many different enhancements for the weapons and so on.
Can you spray paint it and make it your own in that way?
This I actually honestly don't know.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Well, yeah, because a lot of people love customizing every aspect, including weapons.
It's still very much in development,
Sure.
and I saw the system for switching like enhancements for the weapons, like the silencer. I didn't see anything for the like spraying it, but
Gotcha.
Who knows?
Now, I want to talk a bit about Jackie's death in the trailer. Is that a set thing, or is that like player choice led to that and we can take a different path?
Honestly, I'd rather leave it a mystery for now, so the players can find out on their own.
Okay, fair enough. One question asked radio stations, but we found out in the demo you can indeed listen to multiple tracks. And these are all cyberpunk based?
These are all all of these music tracks were done strictly for us. So we have a number of them, and there are different stations that you can listen to, as you saw, and yeah.
Awesome. So these are original soundtracks?
Yes, they are original soundtracks.
Okay, so when you're in a vehicle, can you plow through crowds, GTA style?
Yeah.
You can, and will you get in trouble?
That's the general idea right now, yeah. And the idea is that for the police system is that depending on the district you're in, a different kind of force will try to attack you if they see you doing this. So for example, you might imagine in the downtown you'll get apprehended either by corporate security or by the police. However, in places like Pacifica, which is off limits to the police, which is like mostly voodoo boys, the gangs actually will
run the law and order of that
exactly.
place. Interesting. So there are multiple like police factions, if you will.
Exactly.
That is interesting. Now, in terms of the campaign, if you just beeline through it, like don't do any side quests, do you know about how long it would take to just finish that?
No, it's too early in development to actually be able to tell at this point.
Are there multiple endings?
Yes.
There are. Okay, awesome. And can you? A lot of users have asked if you can finish the game without any augmentations. If you can just be a fully
For sure,
human.
yeah.
Really, I know. Like part of the plot is that somebody forces an augmentation on you.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yes, like the minimum you have to have is Kiroshi Eye and the grip. That's what we showed last year. That's what you get installed at Victor's in the prologue. However, the rest of your body you can leave untouched.
Okay, and then there's that chip. That as well is an important aspect, and to
Yes.
have that chip there, you need.
Well, actually, not everyone, but most people in the world of Cyberpunk 2077, they have these basic like slots. So they have slots for the chips. That's the one that V has, and they have the personal link as well that they're using to connect to different devices.
Okay, in terms of level cap, what's the maximum level players can achieve?
I don't think we've decided on this.
Okay, but there will be a cap, or is it going to be infinite? Well, we don't know yet. Okay. Is there going to be a photo mode? A lot of people would love to take pictures of this, beautiful city that you've constructed.
Well, for sure, this is something we are considering seriously, seeing how popular this feature is in many different games. Is it going to happen? It's hard to tell at this point.
Factions. There's multiple now. We've got the Maelstrom from before. Now we've got Voodoo Animals, and people are wondering, how many of these factions are going to be in the game? Can you side with certain factions and that affects your disposition towards others? Like, how does that interplay work?
So we have 6 main districts in the city, and each of them is governed by a different gang. Like we talked about this police force,
So
right?
it's 6 major gangs?
I would say so.
Okay.
On top of that, you have the Badlands, so the area outside of the city, where you have the nomads and you have the Raf and Shiv. On top of that, of course, we have different corporations that are present within the city and different fixers. And in terms of working with them, there is no reputation system that kind of tracks this, but it is mostly narratively driven, which means there are specific quests in which they will react to your actions and where you can side with them or you can...
Right, we saw in the demo you could side with Netwatch or with the Voodoos, and based on that, I guess a lot of different things. Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
in the end, V is a free... how do you say that? Free gun for hire, right?
Yeah, a gun for hire,
Exactly.
freelance type
Freelancer,
of,
yes. She doesn't actually, or he, side permanently with a faction.
Awesome. Okay. Now, as for the world itself, how expansive is it? People are wondering, can you enter any building, or are there certain buildings that you will know you'll be able to enter, but others are kind of more background? So, how expansive is it? The verticality, how much of that plays into your gameplay experience?
Okay, so in general, the city, as you see, is quite vast, and there are many buildings you can enter. However, not all of them. You can enter mostly the ones that are necessary for the content that we are creating. We didn't want to have just empty buildings sitting there. That would not make much sense. And so, like I mentioned before, you have these huge 6 districts, which have sub-districts within them. And a lot of these buildings are vertical, so they have multiple levels that you visit. On top of that, we have the Badlands, which is this more it's outside of the town. It's more like these ruins, wasteland kind of
that's cool.
environment to explore.
We haven't seen that yet, have we?
We didn't show it on any demo yet, no.
Okay. How high can you go? How high are skyscrapers? People are wondering, can you go up to a incredibly high rooftop and just jump off and see what happens, stuff like that? How free is your mobility in terms of verticality?
This again depends heavily on the content that we have. I'm a little bit afraid of spoiling something for the players, but I think the highest buildings are in the downtown area, so where the corporations have
the
their...
megacorp buildings. Of
Exactly.
course. That makes sense. What about mini games? Are there activities to partake in the city? I don't know, play some pool or something akin to Gwent.
So right now we have hacking minigame that you saw in the demo. We have a shooting range where you can train your shooting skills. We have car races, and we have these martial art like competitions, I guess you could call them.
So like melee practice arenas of some sort?
Exactly.
Okay, but no card game that you can talk about?
We don't have a card.
Oh, okay, so that's confirmed.
Yes.
So no Gwent. Is there...
No Cyber Gwen.
Could that be a possibility down the line, maybe, if people request it?
I don't know.
We'll see what happens. Fair enough. This is an interesting question. Somebody asked, will CD Projekt Red be a corporation within the world of Cyberpunk 2077? Are you guys a mega corporation within that world?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right. That'd be a cool little Easter egg. Now, this is interesting. Some people have been wondering about PlayStation 4. On the Sony side of things, they've been like censoring a couple things in terms of like more adult content, and this is a very mature game. Is there anything on that front that's kind of that concerns you guys in terms of, is there anything that is being asked to be censored or anything like that, or is it fully going to be on display on all consoles?
I honestly never heard about this before now, and from my knowledge, we don't have any issues like those.
Okay.
Like the only things that we do regarding censorship is region-based. So the same thing we did for The Witcher.
And for my last question, CD Projekt Red, as a studio, they're well known for being consumer friendly. They are all about the players, and it shows. A lot of other developers say, oh, we're about the players, but in terms of how they launch their games or certain aspects of it don't feel like they're living up to that. So what is sort of your stance on the current state of the industry, and what is your goal when you're making games and when you're appealing to players? What do you want to say about all that?
Well, for me, what's crucial about making games is, we're making something we love for people to enjoy, and I truly believe that single-player games are something unique in terms of forms of entertainment.
Yeah.
This is something I personally enjoy a lot.
Same.
And one of the most beautiful things in it for me is ability to immerse myself fully with the game, which is why when I hear like these headlines like single player games are dying
or whatever, yeah.
I always roll my eyes, and I'm always sad about this because I want to prove with our games that they are not dying, and single players are doing quite well for themselves, and that there is still place in the industry for them.
Yeah, I mean, God of War, phenomenal numbers and phenomenal scores.
Exactly.
This is probably the most anticipated game in the coming few months. So I think the proof is in the pudding, and I'm happy that,
If there will be no single-player games in the future, I don't want to be in that future.
I know, right? Same thing. There's no gaming without single player. I love multiplayer too,
of
but
course.
it needs to be a little both,
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's pretty much, I think, everything the community asked. Thank you so much for joining me today. You answered all the questions very thoroughly. I am
Thank you for having me.
I'm incredibly excited. Cyberpunk is my favorite genre, and to see a game of this magnitude come to, see it in front of me, it doesn't feel real. But it is real. It's coming out in April 2020.
Pretty much
So I'm super excited. Thank you so much, and hopefully we can reconvene when the game launches and discuss the contents of the game. Sounds good. All right, well, thanks everyone. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Share your love to CD Projekt Red, and with that, I will see you guys next time. Yong out.